Are we ready to go? Cool. All right, everybody. Let's just meet on our backs. Put the soles of your feet together. Put your right hand on your belly, your left hand on your heart. And we're just going to take the first few minutes to come into our breathing, step away from our day, step onto our mats, forget about what we're stressed about. We might be studying for tests. We might have just gotten home from work. Kids might be crying, might be upset. But this is just a little bit of time that you can take for yourself. So as you're here, I just want you to focus on breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Making that sound of the ocean in the back of your throat. And you can even take this time to set an intention for your practice today. I'm kind of thinking that we should focus on mindfulness. Be mindful of what you're doing, how you're feeling in these poses, how it feels to be you today. And then take this outside, off of the mat. Be mindful of how you're treating other people. Be mindful of what your actions say about you. All right, so let's bring our knees up to our chin, give them a big hug, hug that intention in, whatever your intention was for the day. Hug it in, and then we're going to roll over onto our right side, and then push ourselves up. And let's get started on all fours. So we want your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees in line with your hips. Your fingers, your pointer finger should be facing forward, and you should put the weight in between your whole hand, your 4 points of your hand, your knees, and on the tops of your feet. And then as you inhale, look up. Exhale, look down, rounding your back. Inhale, look up. Exhale, look down, rounding your back. Just starting to get moving. Roll through these at your own pace. You want to move with your breath. The whole point of yoga is to move with your breath. It's your practice. And then we're just going to come back to tabletop and put your right arm out and your left leg back. And when you exhale, we're going to crunch your knee and elbow together. Straighten for length, stretch, stretch, stretch all the way through as long as you can get. Exhale, crunch it in, all the way out. One more time. Crunch it in. And then we're going to do the same thing on the left side, left hand out, right leg out. Straighten all the way through, and then exhale, crunch them together. And one more. Come back to tabletop, curl your toes under, and we're going to push into our first down dog of the day. Your pointer fingers pointing forward. You're pushing your tailbone as high as you can. You're keeping your legs straight. You're trying to sink your heels into the mat. Your first down dog, you might feel a little stiff. You might want to shake out your head a little bit, wag your tail. Make sure you're not sinking into your shoulders. You want to strengthen straight, strong all the way through your back. Push your heels towards the mat. Do a few deep breaths here. Maybe walk the dog a little bit, bending one foot and then the other. And then you can just look towards your hands, and we're either going to jump or step our feet up to meet our hands. So you can either bend into your knees, kind of into bear, and then with your strong core, bring your feet up to your hands. You're going to touch the ground, look up for length, go back down, and then this time we're going to rise all the way to standing, bringing your hands all the way up. Maybe a little back bend if you're feeling up to it. Not yet. If you don't feel ready, don't do it yet. Then we're going to dive forward through a swan dive, our chest first. Look up again for length. Put your hands flat on the mat, and then we're going to jump back, and we're going to roll through a vinyasa. So that means we're going to go all the way down, tucking our elbows in close to our ribs through a chaturanga, triceps push-up, whatever you want to call it. Hover above the ground. You can push up into cobra for your first one, keeping your legs on the ground, or into upward facing dog, pushing your heart towards the chest or towards the sky, and then we're going to go into downward facing dog. And then we're going to roll through that 2 more times. Walk your dog a little bit, look up towards your hands, step or jump up to meet your hands, look up for length all the way down to the ground, reverse swan dive, and then we're going to dive back to the ground. Put your hands flat on the mat and jump back. We're just trying to build a little bit of heat here so we can work later. Chaturanga, upward facing dog, Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Look forward, bend your knees, jump to your hands, look up for length, sink back down to the earth, rise up, reverse swan dive, arch your back. This time we're going to do a few side stretches. So bring your right hand down by your side, left hand over to your right side. You should have equal weight in each foot. Look up towards your left hand. As you breathe in, you want to straighten. As you exhale, you want to bend. Feels so good. Now we'll switch sides. Look up towards your hand and bend. We're going to come back, and then we'll flow through one more sun salutation. We're going to step all the way back to plank. We'll flow through our vinyasa, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. And I'm going to have you lift your right leg up. So this time you're going to be focusing on pushing your left heel to the mat. You don't want to lose form when you bring your when you bring your leg up. You want your hips still squared to the earth. You don't want to come out over your hands like this. Try and keep that back straight. One line from your hands all the way to your tail. You can bend that right leg. You can do big circles with your hips, with your ankles, whatever feels good for you. Go counterclockwise, clockwise. Look for your foot back there. You can flip your dog if you like. And then back again. Put your right foot down. Left foot up. Same thing on this side. Try and square those hips to the ground. Push that right heel back into the mat. And then bend into that left leg. Do some circles, big circles, big circles. Open up those joints. So tight after a busy day. Mostly sitting at a desk for me. You can flip your dog if you like. I'm not going to do that on this side because I'm afraid I'll hit the fireplace. And then we'll bring your feet back. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Right foot back up. And then we're going to crunch it into your forehead. Crunch, crunch, crunch as hard as you can around your back. Back out. Crunch to the right elbow. Hold it. Crunch back out. And then crunch under and across your body to your left elbow. Back up. And then we're going to go out into crescent. For the first crescent, we can do low lunge, crescent B. So your knee can be on the ground. You can look behind you, just make sure you're in one straight line, your left leg. Top of your foot can be on the ground. Push out of your right knee. You can bring your arms up if you're ready to do that. A slight arch in the low back. And then let's put our left hand on the ground and let's reach over with our right hand, another side stretch here. Looking up towards your right hand. Back to center. Opposite side. Looking up at your left hand this time. Hands back down. Go into runner's lunge. Step back into plank and roll through your vinyasa. Lower through chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And then lift that left leg up to the sky. Bring it through into low crescent. Push with your hands against that knee. Line yourself up. Right knee can be on the ground. Top of the right foot on the ground. Bring your arms up. Left hand down. Right arm over the top of your body. Look up at that right hand. Back up. Other side. And then back into low runner's lunge. Hands on the ground. Step back into plank and roll through another vinyasa. You can add push-ups if you like. I am not going to be adding push-ups today. I'm a little bit sore, and plus it's my first time teaching, so I don't think that would be a very good idea. Meet back in down dog, and now we're going to roll through some warrior sequences. So we're going to bring the right foot up into crescent, high crescent this time. So your back leg, your left leg should be as straight as you can possibly get it. Pushing through that left heel, looking up towards the sky. Try and bring that arch out of your lower back. Sinking into this. I like to move with my breath. It just reminds me that I'm practicing yoga with my breath. And then we're going to open up to Warrior B. That means you spin your back foot to 90 degrees. You keep that back leg straight. Your right heel and left heel should line up. Your shoulders are down, and you're looking out over through your front hand. It's a warrior pose. It's strong. And you're going to hold that. And then reverse warrior. Warrior B. Straighten that front leg. We're going to move into triangle pose here. So you're going to hinge forward from the hips, reaching as far as you can possibly go, like someone's grabbing your fingertips, but you can't move your hips. So as far as you can go, and then sinking down to the earth. And looking up. You can put your hand all the way down on the ground. You can put it on your shin. You can put it on the outside of your right foot for a little bit more advanced practice. And then back up into Warrior B. And then into reverse triangle. Warrior B. And then we'll go through our flow. So windmill your hands down. Step back to plank, lower through chaturanga, upward facing dog, pushing your heart out, and then downward facing dog. I hope you guys are feeling warm. Left foot up. Bring it all the way through to meet your hands. We're going to go into crescent. Once again, your back leg should be straight, pushing out through that heel. Your right or your left knee should be over your left ankle. Sinking your hips down. Your hips should be facing forward. And then warrior B, spinning that left leg to a 90-degree angle, lining those heels up, sinking the shoulders down, looking out over your front hand. Once again, this is a warrior pose. It's strong. Move with your breath. Sink a little bit lower if you can. You can do it. And then reverse warrior, looking back up towards your hand. Back to warrior B. Straighten that leg for a little bit of relief. And then hinge forward from the hips. As far forward as you can go. And then drop that front hand down. We're trying to line the shoulders up here, making it a nice straight line. This is one of my favorite poses. Again, you can come to your shin. You can come to the opposite side of the foot, outside of the left foot. Whatever you are feeling like doing today. Back into warrior B. Look out over that front hand. Sink deeper. Straighten that leg. Reverse triangle. Look back towards your hand. Sink back into warrior B. Windmill those hands down. Flat on the mat. Step back into plank. And lower yourself through a vinyasa. Upward facing dog. You can take a second in upward facing dog if you want. Shake it out. Look out over your shoulders. And then downward facing dog. Look up towards your hands. Sink your knees all the way to the ground for bear pose. So go up a little bit and then jump up towards your hands. And then we're going to rise into fierce pose, chair pose, lightning, whatever you want to call it. So you want your knees to line up with your toes. You want your toes touching and your knees touching. So you're going to look from the front like this. You want to protect your knees. You can look up. And then we're going to have you drop down to the ground, touch the ground, halfway for length, and then reverse swan dive. And then we're going to go right back into fierce pose again. And then go up on your tiptoes. Hold it, you can do it, breathe through it. You're building strength. Back down to your heels. Bring your hands to heart center. And then you're going to bring your left elbow to your right knee. And we're going to take a twist. And you're just trying to keep your arms in a straight line. Line your shoulders up. You're trying to bring your hands to heart center. That's how deep you're trying to twist. You can open your hands up if that's the variation you like to take. You can also take an arm balance here if you want. I'll quickly show you guys that, but don't feel like you have to. You just rest your right thigh on both of your elbows. Open up. Look up, smile, go back, rise back up to standing, back to heart center. We're going to go back into fierce pose for the other side. So bring your right elbow to the outside of your left knee. Twist, 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 twist. Think about what your hips are doing. Are they turning with you? then you're not really twisting. You need your hips to stay in the same place. Use the strength of your arms to twist your body. Open up. Do an arm balance if you like. For those of you who know my yoga style, you know that I love arm balances. I think if you don't try a couple arm balances every class, and if you don't fall a couple times every class, then you're not trying hard enough. But that might just be because I have horrible balance. I don't know. Then we'll go back up. Another sun salutation. And then dive. Swan dive forward. Touch the ground. And let's jump back into plank and roll through another vinyasa. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. And downward facing dog. I don't know about you guys, but I'm working pretty hard here. We're going to bring our right foot up, step it forward into warrior B. So you're going to line your front right heel up with your back left heel. Your back foot should be at 90 degrees. Your hips are open to the side. Arms are out over them, shoulders relax, looking out over that hand. Reverse warrior. Back to warrior B. Straighten that front leg. Triangle pose, so we're reaching forward as far as we can. Reach, 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 reach. And then down to the ground with your right hand. And look up towards your left hand. Think about pushing your back against a wall right behind you. Opening up. Back into warrior B. And then reverse triangle. And then back to warrior B. This time we're going to sink into side angle pose. So if it's your first one of the day or if you're not feeling very warm today, I just want you to bring your right forearm to your right knee. Stay straight through that left back leg. Look up towards your left hand. If you're feeling pretty open already, pretty warm, which I am, you can bring your hand to the ground. You can keep your arm in utthita above your head. You can bring it around, wrap it, do a half wrap. You can bring your right hand underneath, full wrap. When you wrap or bind, the whole goal is to open your heart up more. It's a symbolic gesture of opening yourself up. And let's bring this into birds of paradise. So hop that other leg up there. Keep your bind around your right leg. And stand up on your left leg. And then straighten your right. My left leg is the leg that I broke about 1.5 years ago. And I don't always have good balance on this leg. So that was a pretty good balance for me. And then let's take a deep inhale. And then exhale. Breathe in for length, look up, back down to your mat, and jump back into plank. Lower through triceps push-up, hugging your elbows into your chest, upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Take that left leg up and bring it all the way through to your hands. Into warrior B, sorry. So you're lining your left heel up with your right heel. Your right foot is at 90 degrees. Your hands come out open. Your hips are facing away from the front of the mat. So they're at a side. And you're looking out over those hands. Sink into your hips. Back leg is straight and strong. Both legs have your weight in them. You're not putting all of your weight in the front leg or the back leg. You're centered. Reverse warrior. Staying bent in that right or left front leg. Back to warrior B. Straighten your front leg. And tip forward from your hips, and then bring your hand all the way to the ground for triangle pose. Stacking those shoulders. You can use your core. Another good thing to do here is Utthita with both hands. This will really improve your core work. Might be a little bit too much work for me. I don't think I'll be able to talk through it right now. And then back up into Warrior B. And then reverse triangle. Back to Warrior B. Side angle pose. If you're feeling warm enough, you can bring that hand to the ground. Bring your right hand overhead in Utthita. Wrap that right hand around. You can either bring it above the hip crease or below, and you can do full bind. Looking up at the sky, opening your chest, and then stepping that right foot up to meet your left, and bringing your left foot up and out in Birds of Paradise. And then back down. Deep breath. Meet at the top of the sun salutation. Back down to the ground. Look up for length. Back down to the ground. And then jump or step back into plank. And flow through a vinyasa. Oh, this down dog feels a whole lot different than the first one. Make sure you're not sacrificing form as you get warm. I'm pretty warm in here. Bring that right foot up. And we'll swing it all the way through to our hands in Warrior A. So Warrior A, your back foot is at a 45 degree angle. And you're lining your front heel up with the arch of your back foot. You're facing your hips towards your front leg. May need to shorten my stance here. And then you're going to bring your arms up. We're going to hold this for a moment here. And then bring your arms behind you. Exhale, bring them behind you. Inhale back up to the sky. Exhale behind you. Inhale back up to the sky, and then exhale behind you. Bring them out to your side like wings. Spread your toes apart on your front leg, and we're going to hop up into Warrior C. If you stumble or fall a little bit, that's okay. Nobody is there to judge you, not even yourself. Hold Warrior C. We're going to drop our right hand down to the ground. Bring our left hand up. You have a strong back leg here. Pretend like it's pushing against a wall. Your foot is not pointed, it's flat as if it were on a wall. It's strong. Your core is strong here. You can look forward. I don't think I can do that right now. You can reach back for your leg and do full moon if you desire. Back into half moon. Drop your left hand down to the ground. And then bring your right hand up. And this is one that I really hate because by now my leg is tired and reverse half moon is hard. But you can do it. Try and use that core so you're not putting all of your weight into your hand. Drop both hands down, standing splits. You can continue with balancing if you want by putting both hands on your ankle. You can put your right hand on your ankle to pull you in, work on some flexibility. And then bring that foot back down to meet the other one. And then reverse swan dive up. Bend back a little bit. Let's meet at heart center. Just for a moment, take a break. Be grateful that you're sweating, that you're practicing free yoga in the comfort of your own home. Deep breath, bring those hands back up above your head, and then hinge forward from the hips, swan dive, leading with the chest, up for length, back down, touch the mat, jump back into plank, flow through a vinyasa. Left leg high into the sky. Bring it forward to your hands. We're going to do warrior A on this side. So that means that your back leg is straight. Your foot is at a 45-degree angle to the corner of the mat. And your front heel is lined up with the arch of your back foot. And then you just turn your hips forward as much as possible. Raise your arms above your head. Fly around a little bit. Sweep your arms back as you exhale. Inhale them back up to the sky. Sweep them back as you exhale. Inhale back up to the sky. Exhale them back. Bring them out like wings. And get ready to hop into Warrior C, where you're standing on your left leg. Like I said, my left leg is a little less strong than my right leg. So these standing ones are harder on my left side. Keep your back leg or your high leg strong. Pretend like you're pushing against a wall. Core strong. Put your left hand down, your right hand up. Try and stack your hips and shoulders. Try not to dump into your left hand. You can reach back for your foot. Do full moon if you desire. If you don't, it's just an option. Back into half moon. And then bring that right hand down to the ground. Left hand high in reverse half moon. And then standing splits. Bring that right foot down to meet the left. Rise high to the sky. And come back to heart center. Once again, just to reconnect with your breath. That was a hard flow right there, or at least it is for me. But that's why I love it. Practice my balance, which is not one of my strengths. Take a few deep breaths. Raise your hands back up. Inhale, little back bend. And then exhale, swan dive to the ground. Look up for length. Hands to the ground. Jump back into plank. And then flow through your vinyasa. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And we'll just take a couple of deep breaths here in down dog. Actually, now would probably be a good time for a break. I'm going to take a quick water break. You can take child's pose right now if you want, which you just bring the toes together, knees wide apart, hands walk out in front of you, and your forehead to the mat, and sink your butt into your heels. This is your resting pose. This is always an option for you at any time. All right, back up. And now that the fun is all done, I feel better if I have my paper over here. Now let's meet back into down dog. Pushing that tail up. Right leg high to the sky. Bring it to meet your hands. Crescent. And then let's bring your hands to the ground, runner's lunge. Bump your left foot up. Widen your stance. So you've got about 2 to 3 feet between your legs, and you've got a nice wide stance. Your feet should be wider than your hips. We're going to stand all the way up. Put your hands on your hips, deep breath, lengthen, and then you're going to dive forward over your right leg, twisting just a little bit. keeping your back straight, leading with your heart. And then once you've gone as far as you can go, just kind of sink into it. You can bring your hands to the ground. You can walk them back to try and increase your flexibility. As a long distance runner, I can really feel this in my hamstrings right now, and I'm not loving it, but I'm loving it. And then we're going to walk your hands towards your left foot. Spread your feet even wider apart. Come all the way up to standing. You want your feet parallel to each other, and you want them pretty wide, maybe 4 feet in between them. Hands on your hips. Deep breath. Inhale for length. And then bend forward at the hips. Now this is a fun place for me. If you want, you can just grab your hips and try and bring your head in between, or grab your ankles, sorry. I'm almost a nurse, and I do know anatomy. Anyways, bring your head as far in between your legs as you can. If you can, this is a good time to take headstand. This is why this is one of my favorite poses, because I get to have some fun. Stretching, playing around, it's your practice. Do whatever you want to do. Back up. And then we're going to walk back over to low runner's lunge. Bring your forearms to the ground. You can bring your back knee to the ground as well if you want. And try and focus on bringing your right knee into your right shoulder. And then just rest into it. If you know the arm balance here right here, then go ahead and take that. To do that, you would tuck your right shoulder underneath your right arm. Let your thigh rest on your triceps. Let your abdomen on the left side rest on your left forearm. And then just bring your legs out. Look up and smile. Back down. Into lizard. Now we're going to go on the outside of our right foot into crooked monkey. So you're going to go all the way. I'll turn like this. Bring that foot all the way to this side, so you're actually on the side of your foot and your knee is shooting out that way. You can reach back for your back foot. Look up towards the sky. Open your heart. My hips hate this. And then we'll go back into crescent. Step back into plank. And lower yourself through another vinyasa. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Bring that left leg high in the sky. Bring it to your hands. We're going to go up into crescent. Back leg is strong. You're pushing through that heel. Shoulders are away from your ears. Back to low runner's lunge. Bump that right foot up. Widen your stance a little bit. Hands to your hips. Deep breath. And then bend over your straight front leg. Bending at the hips, leading with your heart. You can bring your hands to the ground. Walk them back. This leg, though it's not as strong as my right leg, is much more flexible. You don't want to be pushing your right hip away. You want to pull that right hip so your hips are in line. That'll really help you stretch out your hamstring. Then we're going to walk our hands towards our right foot. Spread our feet out again. Hands on your hips. Come to standing. Deep breath. And then drop forward from the hips, leading with the heart. Last thing to fall is your head. Grab your ankles. You can do another headstand if you choose. I'm not going to do lotus on this side. I'm just going to enjoy being in headstand. You can kind of fly around, play around a little bit. See how changing your leg positions changes your balance. Does it make it easier? Does it make it harder? For me, it actually makes it easier. And then we're going to walk back over into low runner's lunge. Bring our forearms to the ground. Just relax here. You can bring your right knee to the ground if you want. Push your left knee into your left shoulder. You don't want to get sloppy in lizard. Tuck that left shoulder under your left knee. Bring your right arm back. Balance on the top of your triceps. Swing those feet out. Open up into an arm balance. Look up and smile. Because you love this. Back to lizard. I'm going to bring my right knee to the ground. Come on the outside of my left foot. Reach back for crooked monkey. Look up towards the sky. Open your heart. And breathe into whatever area is tight. If anything hurts too much, if it's a sharp pain, don't do it. Back out a little bit. Your body doesn't want to do that today. If it's a stretching ache, that's good for you. Just breathe into that area. All right, come out of crooked monkey. Back into low runner lunge. Step that left foot back into plank. Lower down, hugging those elbows in. You should probably do some push-ups right now. Upward facing dog and downward facing dog. Take a few deep breaths here. Look up towards your hands. Bend a little bit in your knees if you're going to jump. Use your strong core to jump to your hands. And then rise all the way to standing. Hands to heart center. And we're going to do tree. So you can start on by bringing your left foot up. You can bring it to your calf. You can bring it to your inner thigh. Or you can do half lotus. Hands to heart center. If you're feeling balanced, let your tree grow. If you're feeling really balanced, look up. And if you can still do that, pat yourself on the back and close your eyes. And then fall over. I'm just teasing. But it is kind of an ultimate test if you can balance like this, closing your eyes, because we use our sight for balance so much. Back down to heart center. Bring your knee out. Don't bring your foot to the ground yet. Bring your knee and your hip to a 90-degree angle. Take your two peace fingers of your right hand, grab your toes, your right toe, straighten that leg out, and bring it out to the side. It always helps me balance if I bring this hand out as well. Pull it in, stretch, lose your balance. If you lose your balance, that's okay. Then we're going to take your right hand, bring it to your right hip, your palm facing away from you. Bend your right foot back. Put your ankle or the top of your foot into your hand, and then kick back with equal and opposite forces. So you're pushing your foot away from you and your chest towards the ground. And you want to really kick through that back leg. And to dancers, my left side is still so hard for me. That's why you breathe and focus. Back down, and then we'll do the other side. So you can pick up that right leg, put it wherever's comfortable for you, just never on the knee. Your knee is a weak, unstable joint, and you don't want to be putting lateral forces onto that. Hands at heart center, grow whenever you're ready. Look up. Close your eyes if that's your level of practice. Bring your shoulders away from your ears. Move like a tree. Hands back to heart center. Take your two peace fingers of your left hand. Bring your knee and hip of your left leg to 90-degree angles. Bring it up. Grab those toes. Straighten. And then bring out to this side. Now you want to try and not bring your hips over with it so you're sinking into it. You want your hips to be facing forward. That will keep your core strong. And then back to center. Left hand to your left hip, palm facing away. Put your ankle or the top of your left foot into your hand, and then kick it away from you and bend at the hips, trying to keep your hips squared to the floor. Some people like to do like the OK symbol. My theory of practice is just keeping my hands out and my fingers open and spread the whole time. Back down, and then let's flow through Vinyasa, hands up, back bend, dive down and forward towards the ground. Inhale for length, exhale, and jump back, Chaturanga. Upward dog, down dog. Now let's go down to our forearms for Dolphin. Your forearms are parallel, your hands are flat on the ground. This is just like downward facing dog, except harder. You can walk your feet in. You can try get your feet up. To practice getting up, you can just kick one leg in the air at a time and let the other follow. You can use this time to take a break. You can play around, kind of do whatever you want. If there's an arm balance that you wanted to get and didn't get a chance to do, you can take this time to do the splits. It's really your practice. I'm going to try getting up again. They tell me the trick is to look towards your hands and not sink into your shoulders. We have a tendency to want to do this. So you got to be strong, look towards your hands, walk your feet as close to your elbows as you can, and then kick them up. Fall over a little bit, have a little fun. And then let's all meet in down dog whenever you guys are done playing around with whatever you wanted to do. Last down dog of the day. Let's try and breathe into those calves and push those hips, or I'm sorry, those heels into the earth and push those hips towards the sky. Shake your head around, make sure you're not tense. Come back to your breath. And then we're going to jump all the way through and meet on our backs. And I think it's time for some bridge and upward facing bow, if that's in your practice. And we're going to do 3 of them. And we'll hold them for 10 breaths each. So for the first one, I always do bridge. So you're going to bring your heels as close to your butt cheeks as you can, and then push your hips up into the air. Then I kind of walk onto my shoulders, and I clasp my hands and try and push them towards my heels a little bit, and then just lift your hips high into the sky. They say that bridge and upward facing bow are energizing poses. I don't know why, because I feel really tired after them. But I'll just have to trust what the experts say. Back down to your mat. Now you can do bridge for the next 2. You can do upward facing bow. Or you can just take a break and lay on your mat if you're feeling tired. I'm going to do upward facing bow, although I don't think I'll hold it for 10 breaths and deep breathe into your guys' ears. So you're going to bring your palms by your ears, and you're just going to push up, pushing your hips up towards the sky. If this hurts, don't do it. Back down to the ground. So good. And then one more. You can do it. I promise you can do it. Hands by your ears. Push up and away. Hips to the sky. Try and bring your thighs closer together. And back down to the ground. Oh, hug it in. Roll up to seated. Using your momentum. After you do bridge or full wheel, you always want to do a forward bend as a counter pose. So pull your butt cheeks away from your sit bones, legs straight. This is an active pose for your legs. They don't get to relax. In fact, you want them so straight that your heels might even lift up off the ground. Arms up overhead and dive over your legs. So good. Every time you inhale, you should focus on straightening a little bit. Every time you exhale, focus on sinking a little bit. Inhale back up. And then let's meet on our backs. Time for plow. shoulder stand and ear pressure pose. So for plow, you're going to roll up off your back, support your lower back with your hands, touch your toes to the ground if you can. If you're right here, that's just fine. Yoga is non-competitive, it's just how you feel today. And then bring your legs all the way up into shoulder stand, reversing the flow of blood. You can play around here too. Move your legs a little bit, have a little bit of fun. Keep them straight, whatever you want to do. Always supporting that lower back, kind of rolling onto your shoulders. If this hurts your neck or your back, as always, don't do it. And then we're going to bring those ears or those knees around your ears for ear pressure pose. And then slowly and controlled, you're going to roll vertebrae by vertebrae onto your back. And now it's time for the most important pose in yoga, Shavasana. So you're going to spread your feet wider than your hips and let them just kind of fall out to the sides. I always like to roll my shoulders back a little bit, otherwise I tend to slump. And then hands out by your sides, your palms open. And you're supposed to completely relax in this pose, letting go of everything, including your breath. So to do that, let's take one last inhale and exhale. Sometimes I like to tense my entire body and then relax it and let everything go. Shavasana is the final resting pose for yoga. It's the time where all of the hour that you spent working your body and twisting it and bending it and doing things that are hard. It's where your body can have the benefit of that and it can rest and feel good. So just let your minds float away on a cloud or on the waves. If a thought comes, it's okay to finish thinking that thought. And then on your next exhale, you just breathe it out. And then we'll roll over onto our right side after wiggling your fingers and toes. Roll onto the right side, keeping your eyes closed. And push yourself up into any seated position whenever you're ready. Eyes still closed. Hands at heart center. And just be thankful for the time that you took for yourself today, to practice yoga and think about how good you feel afterwards. And then take that good feeling and bring it everywhere you go with you. Yoga isn't just meant to practice on your mat. It's meant to take that good feeling and spread it. And with that, namaste.